Tennessee. And he's been a guy who's been kind of hanging around the sort of periphery of kind of the top fives, top tens lately. But he's a guy that if he finds his form, Jacob Nelson, he could very much be someone who kind of wades through the chaos here as well.
Well, yeah, he's also been kind of a boomer bust driver through this regular season thus far. And also say this, like, not a Tornado Alley podium? Oh my God. Okay, I'll stop. But, but yeah, it seems to be kind of a GTR takeover there, maybe. But yeah, Jacob Nelson qualifying third place. Good job by him. He's had some solid races through this regular season. Hasn't really been there for the win just yet, but he's come very close every now and then, especially at Charlotte as well. I remember that race. He was trying his damnedest to get close to Leo Jameson there at the end. I hope I have that correct. I'm trying to remember that. But
yes, yeah. You do.
All right. Yeah, at least it wasn't AJ Knickel, I said.
No, it wasn't. And yeah, we're just kind of in a holding pattern here right now as we try to, or we're just waiting for the actual connection to come through on my end to actually take you to the green flag. That's the only reason for the hold up right now. It's just kind of it's held up on the old loading screen right now. So just kind of waiting to see how much longer this is going to go. Hopefully not too much longer. If not, I may have to go back and try again, because I would imagine they'll be either on the pace laps or at minimum the second pace lap, if not the green flag already taken. So just trying to sort this out on my end. This is purely a connection thing as opposed to anything else. So again, just trying to make sure we've got this right. Might have to wind up restarting heat, so goody. Yeah, just that's the first gremlin we've come across here this evening so far. Hopefully the last, as we just try and get everything sorted out here. But while we're waiting, we can go through a little bit more of the grid. You were talking about Leo Jameson a little bit earlier there, Reegs. He's going to line up fourth. He's the first of the Tornado Alley vehicles here this evening. And he doesn't have any teammates, at least in the top 7, as Darcy Ford is starting 5th, Travis Tyson in 6th. So nice little shot in the arm there for the 87, followed by the number 25 of Chase Beatty, who's going to start tonight in 7th place. So again, just working through a bit of a little gremlin here. We should hopefully be live in a matter of, well, very minimal moments. It's just getting reconnected here on my side. So again, we sincerely appreciate the patience as, you know, we try to navigate these things. But we weren't doing bad, at least until this little snafu happened. But it's all coming along here, I think and hope. Just a matter of hopefully not getting hung up too much and hopefully not missing too much more of the action, because it looks like we're about 6 laps in from what I've heard. 184 laps here tonight as well. So not unlike what WWT was. I think we're in for a bit of a grind here as we can officially go live. And it's Mike Nickens in the lead, and you'll see the guys, they've got a lot of throwback cars here tonight, and it looks like Nickens is throwing back to good old Bobby Labonte in the number 18 Interstate Batteries, green with the red and black. As it looks like we got Nickens in front, Nelson second. I think that's Mercado in third. Darcy Ford up into 4th place. And yeah, it looks like the 3 GTR guys are kind of pushing away here in the very early going. But Darcy Ford trying to do whatever he can to stick with them. As we'll go now and check on the aforementioned Jose Mercado, again, started second, is now running in third. As I try to get the Discord patched in from another computer. Let's just see what I can manage. And I should be all set here. Meanwhile, I thought Nelson was maybe going to have a go at Nickens there on the outside, but it looks like we got somebody in for an early pit stop there as well. Looks like Nickens is holding on. Ford, he's trying to catch up to the back of that lead trio here, Reegs, and yeah, obviously very early, but it seems like promising returns here for GTR in the opening, say, 10 to 15 laps.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'd think it'll be a bit surprising to not see Tornado Alley up here right now, but I mean, for a race and a track like Darlington, there's plenty of time for things to go through, especially with this how chaotic of a track this can be. Although it does seem things have toned down a bit. Although maybe we missed something at the start. I wouldn't be surprised if we did. But yeah, very solid runs by the GTR Motorsports team here. Mike Nickens, Jacob Nelson there first and second, Mercado in third, Darcy Ford trying his hardest to catch from fourth place, and it looks like there was a lap car that they just got by there. Might have rubbed up in the wall a little bit.
Yeah, if I have it right, and again, with the throwback schemes, there's a very good chance I don't, but from what I recall, I think that may have been the 12 of Mike Marini, who I think was doing an homage to the 17 Crown Royal, the purple of Matt Kenseth from back in the day. So I think that's who I saw, but I'm not 100% sure on that, as we'll stay with this lead trio here as the camera moves its focus to the number 9 of Jacob Nelson. And Nelson comfortably running in second place right now, as out of the top 5, it looks like it's Leo Jamieson who fell off a little bit. And let's just actually skip ahead to where he would have been. And yeah, there he is behind John Peden. So it looks like Jamieson's dropped to 6th here in the early going. So nothing, too worrisome for either man, either of Peden or Jamieson. But notably, that gets a couple of the Tornado Alley guys together. It looks like Peden's gotten off to a good start here after, at minimum, not being in the top 7. As we will bring it back to our lead pack, or at least somewhat close to it. And it is, in fact, the lead pack. Darcy Ford in there, as it looks like Nelson's in for a pit stop. I thought it might have been contact, but it just looked like a late duck there from the 9. And so Ford will move up into 3rd, trying to get up onto the back of Mercado here. And these two have had their fair share of battles over the last 2.5 years of racing competitively here as they go to begin another lap. Ford looking on the inside. And worth noting, Darcy Ford was in fact last year's winner at Darlington. So he could have some good vibes here as he goes in on the inside, and it looks like he's going to get the position. So nice move from the defending Earl Ross Cup champion.
Very clean by the previous winner here. Very clean there. I was looking back at the race last year as well. Especially the final results there. There were a lot of unrecognizable drivers after Ford. That just goes to show how much the field has changed within the 3 seasons that we've had, or 2.5, whatever you call it here through this series so far. So yeah, very clean pass there by Darcy Ford into second place. Mike Nickens appears to have lapped another car there. Looks like a blue or purple one by the looks of it. I probably can't see it very well on my end because the quality is kind of lumberjack from my perspective again, but it is what it is.
That appears to be Trent Nielsen that they're headed by. Nielsen into the wall, Mercado.
Oh, Jesus.
And that is, that's just collateral damage. That is a thing that happens at Darlington. But it looks like Mercado's managed to stay in line here, relatively speaking. Drops down to 4th, Peden up into 3rd. But certainly the racer within Jonathan Peden, I don't know if that's necessarily how he would have wanted to do it, but the 53 and our reigning championship leader up in a P3, looking for more.
That's the thing too. Lap traffic is going to be a serious factor in this race as well, especially if you're trying to get by them in the corners. Because there could be one lap car that just doesn't want to go a lap or multiple laps down, and they'll want to fight for that position. But of course, that could probably lead to literally anything right there. There will be the ones that will try to back off, but especially if there's two cars, like let's say fighting for the lead, like they're side by side, and there's a lap car coming. Then that's going to be quite the situation if we ever get here. But yeah, there's been once or twice here so far, maybe even multiple times, that we haven't even seen that lap traffic has played a factor into some of the leaders here having a bit of troubling moments, but they've been able to keep it going. They haven't really spawned or bracked or anything, so it's a kind of an okay situation going on so far. But yeah, a very big factor for this race moving forward.
And let's continue our little trek through the field. We're going to check in on the 87 of Travis Tyson now as soon as we can find him. There he is. Looks like he's tucked in behind. I want to say that's Keith Miller. That looked like a 44 in front of him. Hard to fully get a read on it. Again, a lot of throwback schemes here tonight. No, that's actually Dan Mattiello running one of the vintage Tony Stewart schemes that's just available right within the game itself. It was a 14, not a 44 that I saw. As we'll continue on now, move up to the 25 of Chase Beatty. I know the inspiration behind this one, at least. That's the good old Johnny Benson Valvoline. And Beatty started in 7th here tonight, just looking to try and ID who might be just ahead. But of course, Beatty, he's long had his place secure in the playoff picture with that win to open the season at Daytona. So I think if you're the 25 now, like obviously, you've known that you were going to be in it for a while, but now I think it's just a matter of getting that form back at the right times. It looks like he's on the back of Corbin McCauley here. And I feel like you can probably speak to the scheme better than I can. Would that be a Dale Jr. homage that I'm seeing?
Yes, I actually, as a matter of fact, I actually assisted him in figuring out the throwback scheme. It's a 2001 Pepsi 400 Budweiser baseball paint scheme that we chose, obviously in honor of Dale Jr.'s win in the 2001 Pepsi 400, the first Daytona race after the unfortunate death of Dale Jr.'s father, Dale Sr., in the Daytona 500. So it's I'm pretty sure it's also very special on a personal level to Corbin as well, because I know that he's a huge Dale Earnhardt. He was a huge Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan, obviously still is as well, even though he's not even racing anymore. So it was nice to see him and I come up with that, and it's cool to see him racing that as well. It's a simplistic but a very impactful scheme. That's the way I'll put it.
Yeah, and nice to hear that little bit of inside baseball there as well, as we check in on the number 6 of Bob Drew III, Miamisburg, Ohio native. We do have references for all these schemes as Drew heads into the wall. Not sure if he got a little bit loose there or what happened. Oh yeah, there's the 44 of Keith Miller. I know that car a couple ahead of Bobby Drew. That's the good old Hot Wheels inspired machinery just a little bit further up the track. Meanwhile, that one looks like black on black that Drew just passed, so not 100% sure if I can speak to that one, but let's go to Jonathan Peden as we get back a little bit further up the field. This is a battle for second place between Peden and Ford. Mike Nickens continuing to lead this one. And Peden, I thought he was going to go with based on the chat I was seeing, I thought he was going with the good old Herbie the Love Bug, but it looks like he's going for second place right now. Traditional scheme, typical result here as the 53 finds a way by, and that's on the outside here at Darlington Riggs.
Yeah, it looks like maybe Darcy kind of let him go by a little bit there because he was able to pass by pretty cleanly there on the outside. So just as simple as that. And yeah, he's kind of just running his good old regular paint scheme that he's already been pretty dominant throughout the regular season with. So I mean, I guess you can't go wrong with that. Maybe you could relate it to some Valvoline scheme in the past, like Mark Martin or something. Maybe there is a little bit of a hint there, but again, it's just a good old Jonathan Peden. Enough said.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it kind of speaks for itself here, and it looks like the pair of them are actually trying to make up some room here on Mike Nickens, or at least trying to close that gap. And I think that's Jonathan War ahead of him or was ahead, I should say. It looks like War headed down into pit lane, running another, I believe, 2001 inspired scheme. I believe that's the 29 Kevin Harvick from when he first came in, the white with the red. War, of course, anyone who knows him knows that he is absolutely a huge Kevin Harvick fan, so not a huge surprise to see that particular line of inspiration.
And I can only imagine how he reacted to Kevin Harvick scoring his first win in like 2 years just this past weekend in Michigan. So I'm sure he's definitely happy with that. I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy too, considering in the real life NASCAR Cup Series, there are 15 different winners now with 3 races remaining in the regular season, and Kevin Harvick stole that 15 spots. So there's now two drivers that are in a close battle for that 16th spot, Ryan Blaney and Martin Truex Jr., and yet those two drivers are literally top 4 in the point standings, not the playoff standings. So if one of them or even both of them miss the playoffs, then that's just going to be absolutely crazy. I mean, it's been a pretty chaotic real life season in the Cup Series, obviously. So yeah, I'm sure he's obviously very ecstatic that Kevin Harvick was able to score the win in Michigan. So yeah.
There you go. Meanwhile, speaking of legends, it looks like Ty Higginbotham's sporting. He's one of many, actually, to be presenting a Jeff Gordon-inspired paint scheme. Here's it looks like Darcy Ford's headed into pit lane. John Peden was in the lap before. And so this is Higginbotham and Jameson that we're seeing on track, the two. Higginbotham coming in this lap as I finally got my Discord patch in working. So
I approve of all Jeff Gordon schemes. I'm just going to clarify that.
There you go. It looks like Jameson and Higginbotham headed in together here, and perhaps Mercado joining them. Indeed it is. Trying to make a move on the outside. 25 laps to go in this opening stage. I just got that word. And it looks like Jacob Nelson's gone into pit lane here as well, as we'll check in on the number 12 of Mike Marini. Again, I mentioned the Crown Royal Matt Kenseth-inspired paint scheme. And I think that may have been the one that we were seeing earlier. Marini tucked in behind Dan Mattiello here on track right now. As again, we're coming up on 20 laps remaining in this opening stage. And I think, well, no, I thought that was going to be Kevin Daigle just ahead, but I think that may actually be Reggie Kime. 97 out of pit lane, we're just hearing. As we'll check in on the 77 of Reggie Kime. I did have it right. The Muskogee, Oklahoma native driving for Top Gun. And again, he did have a reference photo. It sounds like Corbin McCauley headed in, Reggie Kime in as well. So this looks like it's kind of our pit window here, as I think McCauley may have just actually exited pit road. We'll just stay with him here as we confirm that. Because I may
looks like you got a bit of a Darlington stripe there as well.
Well, I mean, nothing can be a surprise at this point here, especially at a track like Darlington. We've talked about it and kind of hyped it up throughout the course of the evening. It's just sort of the nature of this particular beast. And yeah, I would say that's McCauley just coming out of pit lane there. That's the communication I'd previously heard as we go to Tom Janikowski now, one of those guys who's just kind of like he's just ahead of the playoff bubble. So I believe he's 15th in the standings, running a. Well, he's the second driver this year to sport the Lightning McQueen paint scheme. So maybe not a full-on throwback, but certainly a memorable looking scheme. Of course, Travis Tyson used it for a couple of races earlier this season as well. But good to see it back, and obviously 93, fairly close to 95, so you can get away with it, I think. 20 laps to go.
Oh yeah, we got that's the Lightning McQueen one, is it?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, that one gave me a bit of a chuckle whenever I saw that come up on the group chat that we have. So yeah, obviously a bit of a kind of a childhood homage there in a sense. Yeah, cars. Enough said there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the immortal words of Owen Wilson. Wow. As we check in now on Kevin Daigle in the number 85, just running his traditional paint scheme and looking to maintain his tradition of getting into the playoffs, but it looks like he may have just gotten a Darlington stripe of his own there. Yeah, I'm not sure if there was maybe a little bit of contact ahead. I think that might be Keith Miller in the aforementioned Hot Wheels inspired ride just ahead. Oh, and the contact with Trent Nielsen as well. Oh, this could be a little bit of that carnage that we were talking about off the beginning. And Daigle, he's going to want to keep it clean right now, as at last check, he is just 9 points out of the playoff picture right now in 18th. So he's going to want to keep his foot on it.
Oh, it's like 3 or 4 cars close together. I don't think that's an ideal situation for literally any of them. And also, yeah, you were saying there, like the playoff bubble's very tight with these 2 races here. Darlington's the one where it's like pretty much pure skill, and like you have to get through all these corners like in a very, very high manner. And then, of course, there's Talladega, where literally, honestly, anyone could win. I don't think anyone, whenever we were coming into the season, I don't think anyone in particular was really expecting a guy like Chase Beatty to come in and win. But I mean, we've seen how good he's done so far in the regular season. So that's the thing with this close playoff bubble, especially with Talladega coming up soon. Could we see someone shock and win? Maybe even owner Dan Cudmore comes in out of nowhere, perhaps. And I'll just point that out as well. If we ever get to Dan Cudmore's throwback scheme at any point during this race, I'm just going to say that is by far the best scheme in terms of being able to actually replicate it through the NASCAR heat games. So preach to him. It seems like kind of an ongoing pattern course or whatever here with him, because obviously he's the one guy with a like that actual NASCAR heat scheme. It's the Miller Lite, I believe the Miller Lite one, the number 2 Miller Lite one there. So yeah, he was able. Yeah, a lot of other drivers I saw in this group chat were very impressed by the scheme he was able to put together. So if we ever get him here on the broadcast at any point, gotta shut him out.
Meanwhile,
and no bias, obviously. I wasn't told to do this.
No, and that just gives me an opportunity to say that anything he would have put together will be infinitely better than that Montreal Canadiens abomination that he put together last year.
No, you can't say that. No.
I just did. Meanwhile, back on track.
You take that back.
Maybe later. But right now, though, we are following the number 36 of Brandon Reed out of Fort Worth, Texas. I believe this is a Kenny Schrader-inspired theme, if I recall correctly. Have to get the source photo up for that. And we're coming up on 10 laps to go here in this opening stage, as we'll try and whip around to where we had been. And this looks like yet another Dale Sr. scheme here, perhaps, driven by the 20 of Hunter Young out of St. Catharines, Ontario. Looks like the old signature black Intimidator there, Riggs.
Oh yeah, that scheme. It's a good old the Intimidator, good GM Goodwrench black and white scheme. You can't go wrong with that one. It's absolutely iconic. Everyone knows it. I'd be shocked if there was a NASCAR fan that came up to me and told me that they had no idea what that scheme was. I would question their fandom.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense here as Young gets down the back straight, looking to get up to the back of Kevin Daigle here as we'll move along to Trent Nielsen in the number 55. And Mike Nickens remains your leader. That's what I'm hearing from the Discord. Okay, just got a top 5 there. Nickens, again, is your leader. I think Darcy Ford will be in second as Nielsen tries to keep her straight. And now we get a look at Dan Mattiello just as Darcy Ford's about to lap him. So it is Ford in second, Peden in third, Jameson fourth, and I think I was talking over who he said was in fifth. So that was, again, Darcy Ford with the reporting on that. But there's your leader, Mike Nickens, who just went by. And might actually be Higginbotham in fifth, but not 100% sure on that. Now you get your chance to wax poetic on this particular scheme. That's the one I couldn't read the number of. So, Reegs, go ahead and elaborate on what you're seeing.
Well, with this lumberjack quality, I kind of can't, to be kind of honest. But
Okay.
I'll get on the chat here whenever I can. Yep, there we go. Number 27. I believe that's Rusty. Is it Rusty Wallace?
It would certainly make sense. That was his guy growing up.
Okay, yeah, number 2. Yeah, not surprised by that. Yeah, the number seems to be kind of a bit of a weird visual, maybe like from a far angle. Maybe you can't really see it, but I mean, it's a very good scheme for sure. Maybe the side sponsor motorsport games, maybe get rid of that. But I noticed there before Cudmore as well. It was the number, I believe, was it the number 14 there, the Tony Stewart scheme?
Yes.
I believe that was last. Yeah, I just wanted to shut that one out as well. Back there, that was a pretty good replicated scheme as well. And then we come back to Mike Nickens there as well in the number 18. Of course, the Bobby Labonte Interstate Batteries, green, black, and white car. That one's a pretty iconic one in my opinion as well. A pretty solid choice there by the race leader, I think.
Yeah, no, you've got that absolutely right here as Nickens retains the lead, but he is heavily into lap traffic here. You just saw him give a little nudge to get by Trent Nielsen. Meanwhile, Ford and Peden both trying to close the gap here as we're coming to 5 laps to go at the line. And Nickens just kind of holding on to the back of Mike Marini here. Just essentially trying to keep the car clean as the 18. And it looks like things have worked out generally in his favor here so far. As he continues to run ahead of the pack. 4 to go now in this opening stage. And there you see the difference between Nickens and Ford. About half of the turn, it appears. And now Nickens with a little bit of clean air headed into turns 3 and 4. And that'll be something that both Ford and Peden will have to navigate just a little bit more as we come up on 3 remaining in this stage. Ford looking to get past Marini here in relatively short order if he can. But again, it's looking... Oh, Nickens into the wall, out of the turn. I'm not sure if that was a little glitch or what happened, but I know that Darcy Ford's right on the back of him here now, so we might still have
Peden.
Yes.
Also Peden there as well. I believe it is. Yeah, it's Peden by the looks of it. Yeah, it is. Yeah, could get with what just happened to Nickens there. We might get a potential 3-car battle here for the for the first stage win. 3 laps remaining. It is. Yes. So,
absolutely. Go Ford. Go
Ford.
I'm not sure if he got loose out of the turn. Peden up in a second.
That wouldn't surprise me. That turn 2 corner exit there is very loose. I mean, you may think that the through turns 1 and 2 are even tight, but as soon as you exit turn 2, it is loose as anything. So if that's what just happened right there, that is not a surprise at all. Maybe Jonathan Peden is going to be the guy to come through and steal. But again, Darcy Ford has caught right back up to Peden. It looks like that loose situation there didn't really do much other than maybe falling back a little bit. There's contact
Ford
again. Darcy Ford down low again.
And that's where Nickens
another corner
caught up too, I think.
Situation.
Another
one.
Indeed so. As they come through turn 4 for the final time, Mike Nickens is just going to hold on. And that's going to get him a stage victory here as we have reached the end of stage 1. Eventful end to it has to be said.
Yes, but I can only imagine Darcy with the fact that he had kind of had 2 situations happen there, although the second time might have actually been on Pete, and we don't exactly know for sure, but you can only imagine Darcy was definitely trying maybe a little bit hard right there. Maybe he did want that stage win to get those valuable points because he still hasn't scored a win yet throughout this season. So yeah, Mike Nickens comes through and gets the first stage victory right off the pole. Is he going to be able to continue his way through? We still got 2 stages remaining. Jonathan Peden trying his hardest to give something for Tornado Alley e-racing as guys like Leo Jameson, Ty Higginbottom are then kind of there every now and then, but they just don't really seem to have the winning pace so far. Again, there's still plenty of time. Considering we missed the start of the first stage earlier, we're probably going to be able to see what a start to a stage or whatever this is like. So here we go for the green flag of the second stage.
All right, here we go. And while you were talking there, I did get a little bit of a confirmation from the Discord as we're underway in stage 2. It does sound like there was a little bit of contact there between Peden and Ford, maybe the second time around, like on the final lap of the stage. But again, it's Mike Nickens who's sort of emerged here as the stage 1 winner, as I've got the top 10 in front of us here. So it's Nickens who took the stage win and the additional playoff point. John Peden, series leader, 2nd. Darcy Ford in 3rd. Leo Jameson, 4th. Jose Mercado rounded out the top 5. Ty Higginbotham there in 6th. Jacob Nelson, 7th. Corbin McCauley grabs 3 points in 8th. Chase Beatty in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is the number 77 of Reggie Kime as we bring it back to live action here in the opening couple laps of this middle stage. And it looks like a familiar chorus of characters here in the top 5. Looks like Jameson is part of that group here as well. Nickens, your leader. Peden, 2nd. Mercado, 3rd. Jameson, 4th. And I could not tell who was at the end of that pack. It's not Darcy Ford, though. He's in that secondary pack. It's Corbin McCauley in the top 5.
Yeah, good job by him to come up here. Obviously, you mentioned he finished 8th in the first stage here. It's nice to see him up here at the top. He only qualified 13th. He was kind of, whenever I was having a couple conversations with him earlier today, he wasn't sounding the most confident with how this would go. But I still had no doubt in my mind that he would definitely fight for it because these past few weeks have been struggling both personally and also kind of on the track as well, even though he has gotten some solid finishes and he has been able to get the Red Dirt Racing team some solid points as they're now up in 5th after being kind of more towards the bottom earlier in the season, obviously, because he had a couple of absences plus his other teammates there and Brandon Reed and Keith Miller have been kind of on and off throughout the races, and Corbin finished 6th here last year, so
meanwhile, contact!
He's trying Mercado. To keep... Oh, boy!
Yeah, he has fallen down there, and we talked about prior to WWT, if he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all, and it looks like Jose Mercado may have gotten collected in something there. We just saw the bottom of it on the feed. Didn't really get a great look, but I can tell you the 41 is certainly not part of that lead pack now.
Yeah, I might have heard in the corner of my ear a little bit of... a little reaction there, but yeah, it's literally as soon as I start talking positive about him, it's just stuff going on. There's contact for the lead.
Yeah, Nickens and Peden coming together door to door. Peden looking on the inside here at turn 1. Oh, things are getting spicy here in virtual South Carolina.
And this might give an advantage here for the car in third place back there. I can't exactly tell who that is. You might be able to get a better angle.
That's Leo Jameson there in the 94.
Oh, it is Jameson.
It is,
yeah. This might give an advantage. This might give an advantage to those back there behind these two leaders here. Jameson, I believe that's also Darcy Ford I see in there, and there's obviously other cars. I can't tell too much again. This quality thing is a little iffy there. Oh, he's back up there?
Yeah, so that's Corbin McCauley in fourth. So Nickens is your leader still. Peden in second. And now we see Jose Mercado, just how far he's fallen down the field. And yeah, certainly not how he would have wanted stage 2 to begin, as he tries to kind of get onto the back of somebody here just to try and get a little bit more speed going. It looks like it's Travis Tyson immediately ahead of him. As we'll move it up to Jacob Nelson. He's coming up on the back of Ty Higginbotham here, which would put him within striking distance of that lead group. Nelson running in 7th place right now. And so, I mean, we talked about the expectation of carnage and chaos, and Riggs, we've seen it kind of rear its head here a little bit in the very early going of stage 2.
Yes, there's been a lot of contact, a lot of close racing here thus far. It's kind of it looks to be like, what, a 6, 7, 8 car breakaway here with this top pack by the looks of it. Mike Nickens still leading, Jonathan Peden in second. Corbin McCauley and Jose Mercado had a bit of a situation go on just a few laps back, but Corbin is still managing to hang on here in 4th place, which is quite surprising. Quite the quick rebound from him right there. And there looks to be some issues there with Jonathan Peden as he goes down low, and that's going to give Jameson 2nd place. Peden will drop back to 4th. Corbin now in 3rd place. He'll look to try and bump up behind Jameson, give him a bit of a bump right there. And it looks like Mike Nickens is going to pull away just a little bit with quite the carnage going on right there.
Yeah, there is a lot happening right now, but for all, it seems like it's carnage, but it's still very competitive, it has to be said. As
shocking,
as you say,
in a way.
Yeah, as you say, McCauley kind of trying to push Jameson back up toward Nickens here. Meanwhile, Ford and Peden looking to go for a bit of a drag race here. Ford maintains 4th place. Peden there in 5th. Looks like Nelson's moved up to 6th. Ty Higginbotham at the tail end of this lead pack, which is even threatening to splinter into 2 smaller packs here. As it looks like there's just a little bit more separation going on. As we'll move on to, well, Darcy Ford here in 4th place. And I believe, rather than the throwback, like, he went with his typical scheme, which I think in itself might be a throwback if I recall. I think that might be an Alan Kulwicki scheme if I recall. But that was a long time ago when he first explained that. But certainly he's looking to hold on here himself. 40 to go here in this 2nd stage. And
I mean,
no, go ahead.
No, you keep going there. No, you keep going.
Okay, I was just going to say I was getting word of a spin toward the back of the field. Perhaps Brandon Reed and Tom Janikowski getting involved. One of them perhaps getting in a little too tight on the apron. Of course, we didn't see it. We're up with the leaders right now. But sounds like the carnage continues here.
Oh, yes, you were mentioning there about the possible Alan Kulwicki thing there. There is actually, in fact, an Alan Kulwicki throwback in this field, and it's none other than the 7 of Andy Hurdle from 519 E-Racing. He's lucky enough with his car, obviously, because, he's the number 7. That was Kulwicki's number, and as a matter of fact, the Hooters scheme is in the game, so to be able to combine that plus the simplistic scheme, which is a preset in this game whenever you go into the paint booth, He was able to put the colors perfectly. The Hooters gets on there as well. It's not exactly the same kind of Hooters from the times when Kowicki was racing, but still another great throwback scheme there. And obviously, yeah, the tribute to Alan Kowicki, the one-time Cup Series champion who unfortunately just passed away way too early in his career. He still had plenty of time to go. He was arguably the greatest driver and team owner combination of all time in NASCAR. So pretty solid tribute there. It's quite fitting as well because of his number and the fact that the Hooter scheme is right there in the paint booth. So yeah.
And speaking of drivers who are also team owners, we just got word, and we see it on screen, Corbin McCauley up into second place now. He's gotten by Leo Jamieson, and now Jonathan Peden threatening to do the same, unless the two of them are working together potentially to try and reel in the 17. Meanwhile, Mike Nickens continues to lead from the rest of the field here as we're coming up to 35 laps remaining in this second stage. And
well, yeah, Nickens has been
go inside.
Nickens has been able to keep kind of a decent gap, though. But the thing is, though, he hasn't actually been able to fully pull away. There's contact there for second place between, I believe that's McCauley and Jameson. There's Peden might be able to try and take advantage there, but it looks like he won't. Jameson slides in right there, right behind the rear bumper of Corbin McCauley. I was just saying there, Nickens has a bit of a gap going, but it might actually pull. It might get a little bigger here, as there was a little bit of tightness there between Jameson and McCauley. They're coming off of the good old turn 2 corner exits. So, and Jameson might be getting a couple stripes there, as Jonathan Peden is now going to try to come low for third place.
And I think McCauley may have actually bumped the wall there as well on the exit of 2. So that might be why things looked a little bit closer as well. But this is one heck of a battle that we're seeing. This is 2, 3, and 4 you're seeing on your screen right now. And Mike Nickens just off in the distance, about not quite half a straightaway there, separating Nickens from his nearest challengers. Looks like all three took turn 4 cleanly that time around. And it looks like they're all pretty well maintaining that high line here. It seems like that's where the speed has generally been. As we watch them again into turns 3 and 4. Meanwhile, 5, 6, and 7 trying to catch up here as well. That being Ford, Higginbotham, and Nelson. Looks like they're trying to close the gap here, and we could have a group of 6 trying to nail down Mike Nickens here as we close in on 30 laps remaining in this second stage. And as that happens, we'll get it from the pursuing pack perspective. Darcy Ford here now running in 5th. And again, you see that gap just kind of gradually shutting down. Sounds like Higginbotham's coming in this lap, though. Kind of splitting the difference pit stop wise, it would appear, for the 97. As, I thought things may have gotten a little bit wild there. I think that might have been Jameson that kind of pulled out. But it looks like he's made a move on McCauley here. That'd be for 3rd. Peden somehow got up into 2nd in that conjecture. Whoa. And you're hearing something from your end, Riggs. I'm hearing something in the Discord. What have we just seen or heard?
It seems to be obviously some quite tight racing. I heard in the distance there as well myself. Bit of a chuckle there from the other McCauley. So they're all racing very hard. It's Darlington. That's what it's like whenever the racing's close. As we can see, Darcy Ford getting low there on. Okay, it's getting a little tighter. Oh, jeez.
Lap traffic all there too. I think we had probably close to 10 cars in the corner.
Okay, there might be a car around back there. There might be.
I think that may have been Jacob Nelson in the 9. I think I saw green on the end. Like, the way things were stacking up in that turn, it felt almost inevitable that something was going to go down.
You can't be packed like that at Darlington. In Darlington turns of all corners on a track, you can't be that packed. You know something's going to happen. If something doesn't, then it's unbelievable.
And, well, unbelievable is exactly the word, because nobody would have believed it if it had come out clean. And again, the combination of leaders and lap traffic, that's ultimately what got us here. As we check on Chase Beatty here now, just to kind of calm things down a little bit. Looks like Beatty and Travis Tyson, the two Eclipse guys, potentially looking to work together to try and catch a couple of cars here. As I think we're just kind of getting into potentially the start of a pit window here. We know Higginbotham came in a couple laps ago. Looks like Tyson's headed in now. As we'll see, Bob Drew the third. Is this a pit stop or is he disconnected? Have to.
Well, if his car's moving a little bit, then no, it's not moving.
Yeah, that looks like a disconnect for the 6, if we had to guess. See if we can get a confirmation from the old Facebook service as we check in now on Jonathan Peden and the 53. Just trying to get back to our regular broadcast view. I think we're back there now. And somehow in the middle of all that, it looks like Peden's got some clear track now. Perhaps, well, I'm not sure if Nickens is that far ahead or if he's pitted already or what the deal is. Sounds like McCauley's coming in now, though. Darcy Ford, I think, just coming out of pit lane, perhaps. Yeah, that looks like he is... Yeah, that's rejoining here is the 64. As we'll bring it back up to Ty Higginbotham, who was one of the early guys to pit here in this second stage. And just trying to get some good clean laps underneath that 97, as that's Mike Nickens exiting pit lane. About 25 laps to go is the scientific estimate I've got from our Discord race control. And it looks like, for now anyway, Higginbotham, again, has a pretty good run going. And it looks like, for now anyway, the earlier pit stop may have benefited the 97, at least, again, for now. As we check on Mike Marini, who, I'm trying to see if there's movement there or not. That might be another casualty of the connection. Not seeing any car movement here, so I think we're going to pull it back on track, or back into pit lane, I suppose. Reggie Kime headed in now. So let's try this again. Let's see if we can find someone actually on track, and we find Corbin McCauley. And he's tucked in right behind, it would appear to be Darcy Ford and Jose Mercado. So we know Mercado got caught up in something a little bit earlier, so I'm not entirely sure if all three are for position here. But it's possible that Mercado might be staying out a little bit longer to try and make up the track space as well. But again, not 100% sure on that. But what I do know is Ford's having a look down the inside. Mercado kind of forced up high. McCauley gets through as well. And given the fight, I would say that's for position. And hopefully we'll get a little bit of word from the Discord chat that we'll get some kind of a reestablished running order now that this pit window is, I would say, pretty well completed here for stage number 2. It looks like Nickens ahead of Peden. Oh, McCauley and Ford together. Mercado caught up in that.
Oh, no.
Sounds like Darcy Ford may have gotten a little bit loose there in the turn. He's the one.
Mercado's also in it.
Yeah, that's 2 for him in stage 2. And this is just turning into a nightmare for that Halloween-themed number 41. And yeah, that is less than ideal. We just happened to catch it right on the spot. I'm not sure. I think that may have been...
there's their tight pack here. Oh, yeah, he's right back in a tight pack here as well. Hopefully nothing goes wrong again.
Yeah, that's Kime, Beatty, and Daigle right next to him. And it looks like the 3 of them are just going to go by. And yeah, that is the lady in black rearing her ugly head again. Just mass chaos here.
And yeah, we still have another stage to go.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's not, where a couple of weeks ago where we kind of let the air out of the balloon where I said 114 laps for stage 3.
God have mercy on our souls.
Yeah, we're definitely not there. I think it's actually pretty evenly spread, to be quite honest with you. So, the way things have gone so far, I think we're kind of in a similar scenario for stage 3 as we check in on Tom Janikowski again as we try to get a little bit settled here. Looks like Peden's coming up on the back, so I think Janikowski may be lap traffic. Matter of fact, did Peden get ahead of Nickens somewhere? It sure looks like he did. As I think I saw the green and white 18 in the background, or the green and black 18, I should say. Yeah, there he is. So John Peden, he's gotten ahead of his fellow Floridian somewhere along the line. Didn't quite see it. We were seeing everything else, but we didn't particularly see that pass, as we'll move on to the aforementioned Kevin Daigle, another guy who we talked about it a little bit earlier, just 9 points out of the playoffs right now. He's been in the playoffs each of the first 2 seasons. And it's actually, there's a lot of this around the bubble, but it is a pretty impressive feat for Daigle to come back, considering he did miss out on Daytona. So, there's opportunities here for the 85 to potentially sneak in here if he can rattle off a good finish and then get up toward the top at Talladega.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's kind of hard to say all this stuff too, considering again we're again halfway through here, Darlington, obviously, but then there's Talladega, where literally anything could happen. Y'all saw what happened at Daytona before I came in, so yeah.
Indeed so. Meanwhile, looks like Brandon Reed's in pit lane here, and it is a scheduled stop. I see movement in the car, so that's encouraging for the 36. And as he finishes up his stop, we'll bring it back out on track. Get back to the number 20 of Hunter Young. And again, sporting that Intimidator scheme and kind of running his own race here, which is sort of a unique thing for Darlington. It looks like he may have some company here soon enough, but absolutely nobody around him otherwise.
Do we have a confirmation on the leaders at all, or not yet?
I may have heard it. I may have been talking over it. Not 100% sure. But I will do my best to try and find something here as Trent Nielsen makes his... Oh, hang on. So, John Peden is your race leader. Just got that confirmation. Didn't even have to ask for it. Ty Higginbotham providing this one as he's part of that top 5. So, Peden's your leader. Nickens in second. So, that pass is confirmed. Higginbotham third. Jameson fourth. Jacob Nelson rounds out the top 5.
Yeah, we were saying Nelson might have been a part of an incident earlier too, so I guess that's quite the rebound. Maybe there's a pit strategy that he kind of figured out, perhaps. And there's we saw the number 14 there in the pit stall. It looked like there was no movement though. I wonder if that might be a you know what?
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. That other word, yeah. The one that we hope to try not to say too much of as we get a look at the old Rusty Wallace scheme here of Dan Cudmore, just super quick as we try and make our way back toward the head of the field. Coming up on 10 laps remaining now in this second stage as we check in on Jonathan Warr again in the 29 Kevin Harvick inspired scheme. And ironically, running behind the man whose father-in-law was actually part of Kevin Harvick's team in the form of Darcy Ford. As we, again, just try to get through the field, I would say that's another you-know-what.
Another one.
Keith Miller. It's carnage here
It's
tonight.
like what? It's on the track, it's in the pit lane, it's everywhere. Even up here in the booth.
Over on the good old interwebs here, as we get our first look at that number 7 Hooters scheme that you were talking about earlier, the Alan Kulwicki inspired scheme from Andy Hurdle. And Hurdle, he is the bubble boy right now. Coming into tonight in 16th, I believe 6 points up on Brandon Reed, who I think might actually be right behind him on track. So, yeah, things might get a little tighter here. Indeed, it is the 36 right behind the 7. As, again, we'll try and get through the field here.
Oh
I think we actually have. So, we're back to our pole sitter, Mike Nickens. There's John Peden. So, we're back to our lead battle here now. Nickens with a little touch off the wall in turn 2. As Nickens tries to make his way back up to Peden, who's tucked in behind. I think he might even be tucked in. Well, when I say tucked in, I think that might actually be Ty Higginbotham. Has he found his way up to the lead here, the 97?
Well, you did say he was in like 3rd place or 4th place there, so maybe he has been able to catch up through the cars.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of starting to wonder about here, unless we're in a situation where these two are the only ones on the lead lap. But I highly doubt that, given how competitive some of the racing's been.
For sure.
We see Nickens coming down the straight, again, trying to gobble up that gap between himself and John Peden. And again, Ty Higginbotham very much in the mix there as well. 5 to go here for the leaders in the stage, and by the looks of it, again, I think we're looking at Ty Higginbotham in the lead of the stage, somehow finding his way past both Mike Nickens and John Peden. 4 to go now, we're just being informed. As Nickens getting a little bit loose there through turn 1. See if I can bring it up to Higginbotham here on our stream. Where are you? There you are. So, Higginbotham trying to go low here on Mercado. I'd say that's definitely lap traffic there, as we've seen Mercado caught up in a couple incidents there, but it doesn't stop him from a little bump on John Peden. As I think we're down to 3 remaining. Go ahead.
Maybe a bit of didn't Peden and Mercado kind of get together earlier, or is that a driver mishap? I'm trying to remember.
Frankly, I think everybody's gotten together at some point here at Darlington.
Because I feel like some messages might be being sent around. If I'm correct.
Yeah,
maybe.
Just the nature of the track. As we're down.
It's just the nature of racing.
Yep. 2 remaining here in the stage. And again, it looks like Higginbotham has the stage lead here. John Peden right there with him. Looks like Mike Nickens has fallen off the pace just a little bit here. And it should be white flag this time around as they come out of 4. And yeah, there's the confirmation from Higginbotham. So I'm going to operate as if he is leading this stage. So he's got John Peden right behind him. What were you saying about not having Tornado Alley at the top tonight?
I said so far.
You did say so far.
I was saying like there's still plenty of racing remaining. They can take their time. It's if they want to do that, they want to do that. And Ty Higginbotham looks like he's going to be the second stage winner with Jonathan Peden, his teammate, coming in 2nd place.
Yeah, sure looks like that from my perspective here as well. As again, that is stage 2 in the books.
Jeff, is that Jeff Gordon? Yay, yay, yay! I
Yep.
think it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yay,
that's the
yay.
inspiration. And yeah,
I've got a Jeff Gordon. I got a Jeff Gordon shirt hanging behind me, behind my seat here. So I have that aspect, as well as the earlier the black and white filter, or literally just putting putting the saturation to a complete zero.
Yep.
So
yeah, so it does sound like Ty Higginbotham did pick up the stage victory here. And we've got the official results here. So, maybe a little bit on the blurry side, but we have them regardless. Higginbotham wins the stage. John Peden finishing second. Mike Nickens third. Leo Jameson fourth. Jacob Nelson rounds out the top five. Reggie Kime in sixth. Kevin Dangle seventh. So that's huge for the 85, it should be noted. Chase Beatty grabs eighth. Corbin McCauley stayed on the lead lap after all that carnage to finish ninth.
And Darcy as well. He and Darcy both finished 9th and 10th. That's still that's quite the resurgence there, as the third and final stage here at Darlington gets officially underway.
And it looks like John Peden emerges as the leader to begin this third and final stage. A little bit of a snake forming here behind as Nickens looks to go inside on Higginbotham for second, and he's got it. So it looks like it is Peden leading, Nickens second, Higginbotham in third, Jameson fourth. So that's all three Tornado guys, or Tornado Alleys, in the top four. And Reggie Kime there rounding out the top five. And we're looking at probably another 55 to 60 laps here for this third and final stage. I don't know if Peden got a bit of a nudge there, but Mike Nickens finds himself back in the lead of this race.
And it looks like there might be possible trouble towards the back. There's a bit of a gap opening up there.
I definitely heard a bit of groaning in the background. Didn't see what was going on.
And also a chuckle I just heard there as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like there may have been kind of a battering ram effect from what I'm hearing. I think Darcy Ford and Corbin McCauley may have gotten caught up in it yet again. And it sounds like, and this is just kind of unofficial word, it sounds like Chase Beatty may have gotten spun out. So that may have triggered it.
Well, yeah, there's quite the huge gap. You can literally see not many cars back there, so maybe this might have been quite a big checkup and a big wreck. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
there's big ones, but when the big ones happen in short tracks, it's just magnified that much more.
Oh, the track is blocked.
And so, yeah, we've got ourselves a quintet looking to break away here as Nickens leads, Higginbotham second, John Peden third, Jameson fourth, and that's Reggie Kime holding on to the five, and Nickens contacted
Whoa.
there. I think that was Higginbotham who may have given that bit of a nudge, and Nickens, he'll fall down to fifth. And Jacob Nelson may try and tag along with him. He's in P6 right now. As we'll look in briefly on Jose Mercado. Of course, he got caught up in a couple of things in stage two. So, yeah, not the night he would have wanted to have as we bring it back to Jacob Nelson here running in sixth. And it looks like Nickens has already made his way past Reggie Kime again to get back up into fourth. And again, Nelson trying to catch up to this duo here. Maybe these three can track down the lead trio here of the Tornado Alley guys. Higginbotham, Peden, Jameson, 1, 2, 3.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, quite literally, the start of the race was pretty much GTR Motorsports going at it, and then all of a sudden, boom, stages 2 and 3 come. Stage 2 comes through, and now we're here at the beginning parts of stage 3, and now Tornado Alley literally. It seems like it took a while to form in the sky, but now Tornado is pretty much coming through here is okay. That was a bit of a weird maneuver there by Jameson. Went a little bit low there, coming down the back. I believe it was the back straightaway, but he still holds on to second. He still holds on to second place. But yeah,
moved up into
it's
second.
the good. It's the good old 1, 2, 3 Tornado Alley tandem. What else do you expect? Again, there's still another pit window though. There's still time.
Is.
Just saying.
The one thing I will say, being in Alberta for 3.5 weeks, I have seen plenty of tornadoes. Well, tornado warnings.
Up.
So, yeah, not quite the same, but certainly happy to be doing this from a basement. We'll put it that way, as Jameson looks to have, or thought he might have had an inside look there on Higginbotham, but it looks like 97's holding on here right now. Obviously, as you mentioned, still a long way to go in this third and final stage. But again, it's looking like it's looking like Tornado Alley could potentially be the Titans of this night here again.
Yep, just another one of those once again. And do you have any clue on how many laps are remaining at this point?
I have I've not heard anything from the Discord chat. I would imagine I'll probably hear that in relatively short order. Some of them I usually get lucky and they happen to be listening to us while we're talking. So usually that happens to come through within a lap or two, but we'll see. I would say we're somewhere in the 45 to 50 range, though, remaining. If I had to guess, maybe even a little bit less than that.
Whew.
But what I can tell you is that lead trio, they are, right now anyway, leaving Nickens behind, as you got about half of that turn.
It makes me question back whenever, like, what was it, like, during the, I guess, the quote-unquote, like, the silly season night or whatever, like, what was it, like, a draft or something that happened, if I recall correctly, was it? Yeah. Something like that? Yeah. How on earth did Tornado Alley manage to get these group of guys together?
That is
it makes me question that.
It's a wonderful question. I think obviously having two of the championship four from last season on the same team is never a bad thing. I think they were able to potentially leverage the fact that Jameson was quote unquote new to the league
and then he completely made it look like that he wasn't. So
yeah, and that's kind of what made this particular trinity happen. As we go back to Darcy Ford, kind of right there magnetically alongside Corbin McCauley.
He and Darcy have been like almost connected together like super glue throughout this whole race.
Just about, yeah. It's kind of how things have shaken out. And I mean, obviously it got them a few stage points over the course of the evening, so it wasn't the worst thing, but obviously it's led to other stuff too.
Yeah, it's pretty much led to all of the above. So,
and then some, as we go now to the 87 of Travis Tyson, another Tennessee native, the Kingsport. That's where he's from. I was going to say the hometown escapes me, but
okay, car down low.
Yeah, that was, I think, 25 of Chase Beatty. Indeed, it was. Again, the Johnny Benson inspired machinery. As we'll continue on through now to, well, we're continuing to Chase Beatty. Look at that. The two Eclipse e-racing drivers kind of, well, not quite working together. There's a little bit too much of a gap for that, but Beatty looking like he's got a bit of speed in that car, and I believe finished 9th in stage 1. Or he had points in the first stage for sure, I can tell you that, and maybe a few more in 2. But speaking of 2,
Jesus.
he did finish out of turn 2.
He did finish 9th in the first stage to confirm, and then he finished 8th in the second stage. So yeah, just some decent stage finishes for him. Not too shabby.
And yeah, that'd be that dreaded word for Bob Drew the third here tonight as the number 6's race came to an abrupt end. But a man still very much on the path here is the 53 of Jonathan Peden, although it has to be said,
Whoa.
a bit of separation here.
One car kind of getting a little bit squirrely there, going through turns 1 and 2, and then down low on the track. It seems like they're all good back up there now. Bit of a gap between each cars in front and behind them. I couldn't tell exactly who that was, but it looked like a blue car.
Yeah, I think it was Trent Nielsen there, as it looks like. And so getting word here, it sounds like Trent Nielsen, the 55, the blue car that you were talking about, it sounds like he and Leo Jameson may have gotten caught up in something.
Ooh.
As that's where the gap is coming from. Okay, so top 5 we just got from Ty Higginbotham, and you gave me a lap count as well. I know it ended with a 7, but I didn't hear if it was 47 or 37. But Higginbotham remains your leader. Jameson's just moved up into second. This is 2, 3, 4 you're seeing on screen right now. Jameson second, Peden third, Nickens there in fourth. Reggie Kime rounds out the top 5 as Jameson goes for a little wall ride, and that's going to allow Jonathan Peden maybe to get past here in turn 1. And indeed, that's what's going to go down. And Nickens looking to go inside here through 1 and 2, trying to get third place, and the move is made. So nice bit of driving there from both Peden and Nickens to gain places.
And it looks like there might be a crossover. Yeah, there's a crossover.
Yeah, so Peden up into second, Jameson there in third, Nickens in fourth.
He got it back.
And it looks like a little bit more separation between 2, 3, and 4 than what we were seeing just a few moments ago. But again, it looks like Ty Higginbotham here has gotten himself a little bit of separation from the rest of the field, and there you see it. Basically half a straightaway here at Darlington. So yeah, that's 2 or 3 seconds there, no problem. And most importantly here for the 97, clear track around him. So really, if he was to have something go down, it would be his own doing. But right now, at least until the final pit window, I think it's just a matter of keeping it clean here for the man out of KC.
Well, yeah, as long as he just keeps a smooth car here towards the pit window, he enters in that very strange and shallow pit entry coming through turns 3 and 4, and then as long as he doesn't speed or anything, comes out well, and then he just continues this cleanliness that he seems to have gotten. You can only imagine he'll probably be the number 1 guy here to go for it, but again, though, there's still plenty of time for things to shape up. The pit window can seriously cause things to change up. We've seen in the past couple of stages, there's been a lot of maneuvers throughout these positions, but it's been mostly the same same regular good old drivers. So,
yep.
Yeah.
No, that is bang on the money here as we go back to John Peden briefly. It looks like Nickens has gotten past him here, actually. So Peden falling down a couple of spots. Jameson up into second, Nickens into third. Peden running P4 now. And again, didn't quite get a good visual on what went down there. Looks like Reggie Kine's still running in 5th behind them. And let's just see if we can get a good look. There's the view from Reggie Kime's perspective. Again, fairly clean around him as well. And the 77, he's just finding his way to a top 5, at least to this point.
Well, yes, he, by the looks of it, sits about 9th in points after Indianapolis, so it's been a quiet regular season for him, but if I go to the statistics very quickly here. Can it pop up for me, please? Thank you very much. Yeah, so
On 9.
Reggie Kime. Yeah, through 8 races so far, he only has 1 top 5, but he's been steady with 6 top 10s. His average start in only 13.38, kind of. It's not perfect, obviously, but he does have an average finish of 8.63. So he's kind of that up and down, like top 10, top 15 driver. Yeah, again, only 1 top 5. So he's kind of one of those quiet drivers who come in out of nowhere and score those good finishes every now and then. Maybe his second top 5 does come tonight at Darlington. Maybe he'll surprise people Talladega next week. Obviously, that'll be a discussion for later. But yeah, good run here for Reggie Kime from
Muskogee,
I
Oklahoma.
believe that's Oklahoma. Yeah, Muskogee, Oklahoma. So
Indeed it is, as it looks like Higginbotham's just gone by. I think that's Jonathan War in the 29. And again, not really hearing much race chatter right now, so I'm not sure what pit strategies are looking like right now. But again, I think it's just a matter for the 97 of just kind of keeping it clean right now, and that would be win number 2 of the season. Obviously, still a lot still to be decided here right now. A long way still to go, but obviously the laps are dwindling by basically, well, not even the minute. As Higginbotham will work his way past Tyson, taking that on the high line. Looks like McCauley might be the next in line here for the race leader. And let's just see here. We'll go backwards to Jonathan Peden. This is 2, 3, and 4 here that we're still seeing on track. So Nickens has moved up into second. So there's a little bit of trading places going here between this particular trio. And I have to wonder here, Riggs, I wonder if maybe some of this is kind of premeditated.
yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
And, is Peden headed into pit lane here, though? Indeed he is.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is where Higginbotham benefited.
Whoa!
Gonna get it back. Oh, man.
Jesus. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was a bit of an adventure there for the 53, but he does pull it into pit lane. Higginbotham It's a very tight pit entry, considering it's literally like it's pretty banked up there in turns 3 and 4, and it's also extremely tight up there as well. So, and like as soon as you get down to that lane where you try to cleanly get onto pit road, like it's basically flat in comparison to the amount of banking that you have to deal with in turns 3 and 4. Sorry, and the thing is, it's only two like tight racing grooves right there. So like it gets steep from there, and then it just goes down, and then it's just almost flat, like Martinsville-ish. So or maybe Gateway. I don't know why I'm thinking of a track comparison there, but yeah, there's quite a difference in terms of the amount of banking there is in between the racing grooves, plus getting down to that pit entry. So yeah, that's another major factor, especially around the pit windows. You got to make sure that you get in there pretty cleanly, especially like exiting off of the backstretch there. Yeah, I know of some drivers out there, especially in real life, who have tried to come in literally coming off of the corners instead of just coming in from the backstretch. As you can see, Ty Higginbotham, the original race leader there, that's exactly what he did there, and Peden tried to do it as well, but it was a little iffy with him there. He just barely managed to get in without nearly hitting the freaking pit barrels. So, yeah. Yeah, he got in there, like, as you say, a little bit of a kiss on the inside wall, but was able to get it through straight as he makes his way into pit lane. Meanwhile, let's check in on Jameson, who's headed into pit lane now. And Nickens also into pit lane. So this looks like we're into that final window here now, as Nickens makes the slow drive down to his pit stall. And looks like Mercado's in behind him as well. And Higginbotham comes out first. You just saw that on the screen. And let's just see. That's War coming through. There's Kime coming through. So looks like, has Reggie Kime potentially picked up a position here on Mike Nickens in the pit stops?
Maybe he'll end up getting a podium finish tonight, maybe? Who knows?
He
Maybe.
just might. I don't know why we're keeping with the inflections, but let's keep going. Bring it back to the track, as we'll check now on, where is he? There's Leo Jameson just coming out, and we hadn't seen him coming through before Kime and Nickens left pit lane. So Jameson, he may have lost out on this final round of pit stops. So there may have been a bit of a shuffle going down.
I probably would be a little quiet on that though, because we've all seen what can happen with Leo Jameson and green flag pit windows. He's usually the one that tries to get the tires maybe a little later than everyone else, because then he gets that slightly fresh advantage. I believe it was, what was it? I think it was either Iowa or I think it was Charlotte that he had that happen. So
yeah, that sounds about right. As we follow Jameson here, let's get it to the man who was the race leader going in, and I believe still is, in the form of Ty Higginbotham. Although it has to be said, John Peden did come in, I believe, a lap or two ahead of the 97, so he may well be the race leader as well. We're just awaiting word from race control to try and sort all that out. But yeah, right now the 97 sure looks like it's running pretty well, and it has for most of the evening. Of course, winning stage 2, never a bad thing. And yeah, just waiting for a little bit of an update here. Things obviously get a little bit more sparse as we try to get a few more updates, and the drivers, obviously, they're focused in a little bit more as we progress further and further along. They don't necessarily want, say, a couple of random broadcasters buzzing them in their ears looking for positions all the time. I don't know who would ever do that, but we're just trying to put on an entertaining product here as we move along to Jonathan Peden. And yeah, just trying to get a sense of where Peden is and where Higginbotham's coming from. I think that's coming through, I wanted to say 1 and 2. Yeah, that looked like the pit lane exit. So I think Higginbotham is still the leader right now. But again, we're working to get that confirmation whenever we possibly can here. And no, I was going to stay here. Like, for those unaware, we're both, 24 to go, we're being told. So a little over a 4-second gap here for Ty Higginbotham over second place Jonathan Peden, Leo Jameson in third, Jacob Nelson fourth, and Reggie Kime rounding out the top 5. So may have spoken indeed a little bit too soon regarding any kind of shuffling on pit strategies, but it looks like it's all worked out pretty well here for the 97 as we're closing in on 20 to go in tonight's Racing Carolina 250.
Well, yeah, it's not just Higginbotham either. It's also Tornado Alley. It's the top 3 of them. And yeah, Jacob Nelson's been able to rebound over some conflicts that happened earlier in the race. And we were also talking about Reggie Kime earlier. He may have been able to take advantage over a couple spots. I think even possibly over Mike Nickens there as well, who I wouldn't be surprised if he was in like 6th or 7th right now. So yeah, Reggie Kime might be in for his second top 5 of the season here through what will be 9 races.
And yeah, as you say, certainly a great time for him to pick that up if the results hold as they are right now. As you know, he's very much entrenched in the playoff picture. But again, a guy who's kind of gone about it quietly here over the course of the first 9 races, counting tonight. As again, we continue to follow, or we were following race leader Ty Higginbotham. I just went backwards to Jonathan Peden here in second. And again, at last check, the gap was about, or a little over 4 seconds, and you just saw Chase Beatty go through. He was behind Higginbotham on track, so it looks like that gap might just be extending here a little bit more. And again, it kind of harkens back to, well, obviously not to the same degree, but the idea of what Higginbotham did at Martinsville last season, just about lapping the field on that particular short track. So maybe there's something about these tight layouts that favors the number 97 Tornado Alley man out of Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, yes, and he is able to get the job done with his 1 win of the season, at least so far. Might be 2 very soon, but he got the job done at Iowa Speedway. So, yeah, and that was quite the track for him to get it done at. So, yeah, sure. Short tracks, tight tracks might seem to be kind of his ideal sort of track through this series. So this might be it here tonight. Again, there's still time for things to happen. Maybe, but as long as he could get a few Darlington stripes here, yeah, for the next little bit, but hopefully he doesn't get too much. Again, Jonathan Peden still does have a couple of. He still has many laps to possibly maybe catch up some ground. Although you were saying earlier, it's kind of like like a 4-second gap or something. That's quite the distance to make up.
And it might be more now as Peden's kind of tucked up behind Andy Hurdle, as we're seeing. And yeah, that's just helping the 97 just open things up that much more as we see him headed down the start-finish straight again. And yeah, it is clear track
that's huge.
around him.
That's huge. Yeah, it doesn't appear there's going to be any lap cars in front of him anytime soon either. So,
and really, I think that's kind of the biggest worry at this point if he happens to, find himself in that situation, because we saw what happened a little bit earlier when 10 cars were trying to navigate one corner. 15 laps to go.
10.
Yeah, 10 might have been generous, quite honestly.
Well, okay, yeah, that's understandable, yeah. That's the best estimate you can take.
Yeah, so we're just getting word it's now a 6-second lead for Higginbotham over Peden, and I think you may have actually just seen him in the background, unless I confused him for Chase Beatty. 14 to go in this one. And again, it's looking right now, and I just knocked on wood here in my makeshift studio to just kind of not put the broadcaster jinx here on the 97. God knows we've done that over the course of the season. But yeah, things looking awfully good here for the Tornado Alley E-Racing driver with 13 to go now. And as that happens, I am looking around. I want to make sure I can actually finish this race. So I'm going to disappear for a couple of seconds. I am broadcasting off of my phone tonight instead of the typical mic. So I'm getting a little low on the battery side. So I want to make sure I can stick around here and we'll get these last 10 or so laps in. So I'll be back. You just enjoy the action. I'll be around in probably a couple laps time, given the speed around here at Darlington. All right, folks, I'm now good to go the rest of the way here. As I've gotten a plug in here that'll at least take me through the final few laps here of tonight's race in Carolina 250. Again, sure looks like it is Ty Higginbotham's to lose right now. Obviously, don't think anything happened there in the meantime, did it, Riggs, in the 30 seconds that I was gone?
No, just laps passing by. That's it.
And I mean, that's best case scenario really for the 97. We'll briefly pull it back to John Peden here just to see if we can get a sense of where he is. That looks like Nickens, who just went past. But again, I think Nickens may have wound up being the kind of, not the loser in that pit window there, the final one, but certainly it didn't go his way from where he was. As we will try our best to, well, we don't even have to try our best here. We'll just bring it back to the race leaders. I'll go ahead and put my Discord ear back in. A lot of moving parts going down in tonight's race here. But all things considered, it's operated pretty smoothly from our standpoint, at least from what I'm seeing here. And from Ty Higginbotham's perspective, he's got to like what he's seeing as well. As I'd have to think we're closing in on about 5 laps to go here now.
It should be 5 when we come back around here.
All right, I'm sure I'll get the word here as we go along. And just waiting to hear it. Didn't hear anything that time around, but again, I think we're getting closer and closer to the end. Well, obviously we are. That's the nature of racing. But obviously, you know, each lap is kind of just ticking away here as Higginbotham deftly navigates the lap traffic here. And we'll take a quick look at Reggie Kime, who at last check was running in the top 5, like you mentioned. A good night for him to do it again if he does happen to pull it off. And yeah, he's been a guy who's been. And Higginbotham with a 7-second lead, I'm being told, by the man himself. And he did give me a lap count, but I talked right over it. So hopefully the next time around I'll be able to actually hear it or actually make out what he said. Me and my big mouth sometimes. As, again, Higginbotham runs confidently through 3 and 4. And, yeah, he's been kind of the survivor here tonight. And as mentioned just a moment ago, that gap up to 7 seconds over second place now. So really, this has turned into a pretty dominant third and final stage, it has to be said. And of course, that was building off of the stage 2 victory. So, you know, it's been a pretty good night here for the 97 with, again, your beloved Jeff Gordon inspired paint scheme. And I mean, that's just one of many great throwbacks here that we've seen over the course of the evening. And it's fun to be able to do these kinds of things as well. Just to see what the guys come up with as much as anything else. Because, I thought that was Higginbotham who touched the wall, but I think it may have been Hunter Young. Just ahead, and indeed it was. I saw the black front, and I got nervous there for a second. Thought the big deficit was, or big lead was maybe about to go away. It sounds like we're at the white flag here now. And yeah, we just kind of fell asleep behind the wheel, which is not a great thing But Ty Higginbotham, he's had his eyes open the entire evening. He picks up the victory, his second of the year, and it comes at the Racing Carolina 250. So really just a clinical effort, it has to be said, from the 97, as mentioned, picked up the stage 2 win and was effectively, dominant in stage 3. Everything kind of worked out.
Well, yeah, earlier in the race, Tornado Alley, especially the team as a whole, just really wasn't too much of a headline at the start of the race, but they slowly climbed their way towards the top through the end of that first.